Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Trader Merlin Show. It is your first official show of January. We are on the 7th of January. My apologies for taking so much time off. I had a really great time over in North Carolina. I was out in Charlotte teaching some classes with a bunch of other great instructors like Brock Pierce. We had Larry Jacobson was there. It was awesome time. Had a great time out there. And actually, my class was really small, and maybe some of those folks in here today. So for those of you who are new, welcome to the program. Hit that subscribe button as well. Now, let's real quickly talk about what was transpiring while I was gone. Obviously, I missed some stuff. There was some interesting moves in our markets overall, and I did manage to make a few trades last week and did my portfolio analysis. As you guys know, typically I like to round up the year, look at all my numbers, and then go over them and see where I need to improve. What areas did I do good in? What areas did I do bad in? And unfortunately, in rushing up here today, my spreadsheet is downstairs with all of my numbers on it. So maybe we'll go over that one for you guys tomorrow with regards to last year's performance for myself. But I'll tell you right now, it's really similar to what we had last year. Last year, I actually underperformed the market overall as a whole. Now, I had accounts that I definitely beat the market, but there were a couple gamble accounts which brought me down. And it was interesting because this year was no different. I had one account where I took some gamble trades on Boyle and was punished on those, which took away some profits. I had a majority of my trades last year were done in options, believe it or not, and that actually has now moved into multiple. I think last year I had like 4 different accounts I was using options on. I've condensed some of those down now for 2025, but every one of those actually beat the market, which I was pretty happy about, except for my 1% account, which underperformed. But overall, when you add everything together, I beat the market overall this year, which I was very, very happy about. Since last year, I got like 17% overall, and I was not happy with that. Right? I don't like when I can't beat the market. Just buy the S&P, right? All right, so let me just go into our topic for today. We're going to talk about market forecast for 2025, and this is where I give everybody here the opportunity to give me their thoughts on where they think the S&P will be by the end of the year. Now, of course, you have 359 days, 58 days before we actually get to the end of that one. And because I'm not sure if he's here today, I didn't see Les in here on Friday, the last show of the year, and I didn't see him here today. Les Gold is the one who won for 2024. Here is the spreadsheet. And again, Les, if you want to email me at tradermerlin@gmail.com, email me your mailing address. I will send you out your prize. You guessed 23.09% gain for the S&P, and you were the closest, so congrats. What we'll do today is I'm going to ask you all to give me your forecast, and I guess I should start off by maybe making a brand new copy of this spreadsheet so that we can start fresh with a brand new forecast. I'll create a copy here, and I'll call this one 2025. All right, so what we'll start with is by going over to SPX, which is what I'm using as my benchmark, and I'll put a horizontal line right at the closing price for 2025, which goes back to December 31st, and that is, since this was a red candle for that December, I'm using 5881.66. So I'll put that in here, 5881.66. That is our official number to start things off with as a beginning point for. There you go, Les. Good to see you. You did win, buddy. There's, the emails on the screen, tradermerlin@gmail.com. Send me your mailing address. I'll send you a little prize there. A thank you, if you will, for participating, as you usually are one of my regulars on the program. So congratulations. I hope that you, if you don't drink, let me know, because I was going to send you 2 Trader Merlin shot glasses, but if not, we can maybe find something else for you. Okay, so you guys have a choice. You can either put your guess in now, or we can go through the show and go over different data for the year, come up with some talk tracks about what might be interesting for 2025, what might be areas of concern, and then go through your forecast. So if you guys would like, you're more than welcome to start right now or put them in by the end of the show. What I will do is I will go through after. I'll go through it tonight and put all of them as I see them, and I'll take the last one. Cool, Les. Thank you. Appreciate that. I will take the last forecast that you guys put in as your forecast for 2025. Now, as we look out at the grand scheme of things, it's somewhat interesting. I hear so many people, more than the opposite, more are saying very bullish, extremely bullish for 2025. Now, most of you know that I tend to be somewhat contrarian. When everybody is saying that something is going to happen, I'm generally thinking the opposite direction. Now, of course, last year we had a large swath of the population, if you will, was saying, look, we have a historical 7% average annual return for the S&P during an election year, and that's where I locked my number into, and of course, I was wrong. Certainly, I had it as an up year, but not a very strong one. Now, for 2025, it begs the question, what factors will be driving this market? Now, of course, we could look out there at Trump and his administration coming in, and many people are extremely bullish on Trump going forward. So let's start there. From a economic perspective, at least for me, and again, feel free to push back and let me know what you guys think along the way. This is just my opinion, and I'm only one person. This is not an echo chamber. It is about group think here. With Trump taking office and having a House of Representatives and a Senate that is Republican on his side, it does open the doorway for bills to be passed very quickly, for things to get approved. Now, I'm a little concerned here because Trump, and I hope to not ruffle feathers here, this doesn't come across as opinion, I think that this is fact. Trump is a little bit hot-headed. Trump jumps the gun sometimes and says things that are just like, whoa, hold on a second, you need to slow your track down here. For example, let's talk about some of his tough talk. I don't know if you guys saw the news, what was it, yesterday or over the weekend, or maybe it was just today. Trump was basically saying that we need to make Canada the 51st state. Okay, and if they don't comply with that, he's going to put incredibly tough tariffs on Canada. Remember, there are some things that we get from Canada that we need, things like uranium, potash, and they are our largest importer, and we bring most of our oil in from Canada anyway. So it goes to Trump tough talk. Now, I saw the comment that just came in here from market saying tax cuts would lower inflation. Actually, it's the opposite. Tax cuts would increase inflation because what will happen is if you cut taxes, that means more money in the hands of consumers. Now, on one hand, that would be great for the economy, right? So let's say, for example, you make $100,000 and you were paying 35% taxes. So in theory, you now have $65,000 after taxes. Now, if that tax rate gets dropped down to, let's say, 30% as opposed to 35%, now all of a sudden I have $5,000 extra to spend. So for that, what that would imply is consumers would spend more money, which would be an economic boost. So the economy would start to heat up, which of course would be a good thing when you're looking at the results of the stock market. However, when you have more money chasing the same amount of goods and services, that would drive up inflation and therefore push things a little bit higher. So there is that little conundrum. Tax cuts would actually increase inflation because you have more spending going up. You mean he talks that thing? Yeah, Steve, sometimes he does. So that's number one, was Trump tough talk with Canada and making it the 51st state, which I actually really like this graphic where it's just I actually asked it to make North America, all of North America, American flag, meaning bring in Canada. Let's just bring in Mexico while we're at it. And look, if they don't comply with us, if they don't listen to what we're saying, we're just going to tax them into oblivion. They will not be able to do any business with America unless they're American states. So I don't know how that's all going to turn out. Certainly the polls from Canada showing over 80% of the people are like, we don't want to be a part of America. And right, I get it. Hey, be proud to be Canadian. You should really do it. Yeah, no more Gulf of Mexico either, John. Yeah, the Gulf of America. You know, who has more surface area there touching the Gulf? I think it may actually be the United States. If you go by the amount of actual area touching that Gulf. So let me real quickly bring up map of the world here, and we'll see. Maybe we can get a real solid breakdown of that one. So let me zoom out here and show you. I don't know the exact number, but if we look here at the Gulf of Mexico, it looks to me like the United States has more, right? We've got from this tip here, really from almost Monterey, all the way around through the southern states of the U.S. to Florida. That seems like more terrain. However, this is a nice little curl here. And does this part here in the Caribbean count as being part of the Gulf of Mexico? So I don't know if it's I think it's going to be one of these pissing matches where they just go back and forth, and Mexico can call it whatever they want, America can call it whatever they want. That's fine. Who cares? Whatever. Is Mexico now going to change the Gulf of California? Right? Call that something else out of spite. This will be now the Gulf of Mexico, Little Mexico. I don't know. It's just so funny how political this stuff all gets. Anyway, I think it's a lot of tough talk. And what we could see is not only could Trump continue this hardball talk with Canada, he could also switch it over to Mexico. And of course, as you guys may have heard, Greenland is now being sought after. And he's saying that we would put tariffs on Norway and tax them into oblivion if they don't give us Greenland or sell us Greenland. Now, let's look at this from a logical perspective. First off, we're not conquistadors anymore. It's just kind of crazy. Look, we'll just take over the world. Canada, leave them alone. Let Canada do their thing. Canada, I don't think should be a part of the United States. They're a sovereign country. Let them do their own thing. I think it's just bullying. However, you look at Greenland, there's nothing there. Nothing's going on. No one really is using it. However, from a strategic perspective, I'm sorry, Denmark. Thank you, Dave. It wasn't Norway, it was Denmark. My bad. If you look at Greenland, this is, I think, much more of an important discussion. From a military perspective, having access to Greenland and having bases on Greenland gives us early exposure to anything coming from Europe. You can see how close that is to Norway, Sweden, Denmark down here, but also Russia. So if there was ever to be an attack from Russia, as of course all the doomsday movies show Russia attacking us with nukes, we could potentially thwart those, or maybe have a much more competitive advantage if an attack comes from over the poles from Russia. Now, look, nobody here wants to have any sort of conflict like that, but I think actually the Greenland one makes much more sense. Of course, the U.S. would be buying that from Denmark. Canada, leave it alone. But again, this is all stuff that's going to cause what? In 2025, this will cause a lot of uncertainty, and I think it's going to be pretty dangerous for our equity markets to be a buy and hold investor in 2025, because when the tire meets the road on these demands or these threats and tough talk, again, you could shake up the stock exchanges, you could shake up businesses that might be associated with that. So I guess the overwhelming theme for me in 2025 is probably more volatility than we saw in 2024, which I am okay with. I like the ebbs and flows we had in 2024. I think 2025 will be even bigger, and who knows what will ultimately happen here if our neighbors to the north and just become part of the U.S. I don't know how that's all going to work out. Margaret says Trump trash talk should just be ignored. Yeah, I think as a citizen, ignore it and go on with your day-to-day life. As a trader, I don't think you ignore it. You kind of have to know where he might be steering the boat, where he's steering that discussion. If he starts to talk about Canada being the 51st state, and if they don't comply, we'll just tax them to death, then you got to go look on the Toronto Stock Exchange and see which companies do major business with the United States. If there's some, especially oil companies, that are doing huge exports to the U.S., Trump could very well say, we've got enough oil, we're not going to accept one more drop of yours, and that could have a really significant impact on some of those businesses. So while as annoying as it can be to have this kind of what sometimes feels like an 8-year-old child kind of going, I know you are, but what am I? I know you are, but what am I? At country after country after country, so what? I still am going to listen to it, even though I find it somewhat annoying. I find it entertaining as well. It may present opportunities for you, not just domestically, but internationally. So I think that the volatility will be very high in 2025. Let me see here real quick. If China starts flexing real muscle, these unprotected places will come running for help. U.S.'s capital resources, access oil minerals. Yep. Yeah, I don't feel like China's going to flex too much. I think China is just going to want to say, just leave us alone and let us grow. We'll just continue to do business, but who knows? Obviously, politics and wars and conflict and territorial battles have been going on since we were Pangea and probably even before that. Trudeau was told he is going to be a governor. I think he just had enough. Honestly, I wouldn't want to be in Trudeau's position. So, as we go into 2025, obviously Trump is a big wild card. So that will create a lot of volatility. I think that is a little bit of a contrast to the expectations. I saw here someone was saying that the banks are saying that Trump is going to, going to create a lot of business activity and markets are going to soar. I think they are for the first half of 2025. And then I think we're going to start to get into some problems when this bully tactics may start to backfire. And who knows how strong he is about it. I think he's got a support team around him who's going to try to keep him in check. So, Trump will always say something really outlandish and then kind of backpedal a little bit. So say the worst. It's like negotiating, right? When you go to Thailand and you go to buy, a new suit, you get a suit custom tailored. You go there and you say, well, how much for a 3-piece suit there? And the guy goes, 2,000 baht. That's how they talk. I'm not making fun of them. Very high pitch. I love it. I always feel like I'm making fun of the language when I'm in Thailand, but you're not. It's like 2,000 baht. 2,000 baht, you know that you're never going to pay that. You're never going to pay 2,000 baht. You come back and you go, 1,000 baht. And they go, no, too much. 1,500 baht. And next thing you know, you finally negotiate it down to 1,200 baht. Okay, fine. You're happy with that. And I think that's what's going to be happening here is it's, hey, we're going to tariff you to death if you don't listen to us and don't comply with us. Then we'll just work our way down and we'll get to some number where everybody's happy. But I don't... Actually, let me ask you guys. How many of you... Let's just do this. I'll do a poll here. It's tough for me to do the polls, but I'll try my best. Will Canada... CNADA be the 51st state? Let me connect Canada, make it capital. There you go. So there's your poll. Just curious what you guys think. Anything can happen. I even know we have some Canadians in here, so if you're Canadian, you can let me know what you think. I'm pretty sure all Canadians are like, no way. We do not want to be the 51st state. We're big enough to be almost as big as the United States, territory-wise. Throw in some... Yeah. It's pad thai in Thailand. Pad thai. They don't do egg rolls. They do spring rolls, but they don't do egg rolls. We could be switching to diesel vehicles. Maybe. Well, it's going to go electric. Well, look. Lisa says, you're so funny for putting a poll together like this. Look, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, I have my opinions of it. Personally, I'm in the camp of no. I don't think that's going to happen. Do I think that Greenland could be the 51st? Yeah, I actually think it could. And I think it would be beneficial to the United States. I think strategically, even though Greenland, it's funny, Iceland has greenery, Greenland has no greenery. Greenland has all ice. I mean, it's pretty much all ice. You look at it, they got the names wrong, Greenland and Iceland. It's just ice. However, I'm sure we could build something here significant that would cause this to be a very strategic military point. I can't see too much tourism going on here unless they got great snow, but I'm pretty sure this is all glacier and just cold. All right. So yeah, I think Greenland is a more than 50% chance. And if money's right and we work some great deal with Denmark, if I'm Denmark here, I would look at this. If I'm Denmark, I would go, okay, we'll sell it to you. First off, we want a tremendous price, but B, we want access to the resources and this and this and this and work a deal. Basically, we'd be buying it for a strategic military alignment for the United States, which I'm okay with. I think that would actually work. Could be rare earth metals under the ice, VB. You look at Canada, we get a lot of uranium from Canada. We get uranium from what I've been reading. Potash, which is agricultural use fertilizer materials, is also very big coming from Canada as well. So it's not, Trump said that we get nothing from Canada. Well, that's totally not true. We absolutely get resources and stuff from Canada. So let's see. Let me go. I'm going to finish the poll here just because I want to end it and see what you guys think. 76% of you said no. 25% said yes, it will be. It'd be interesting. Certainly I would like it if it was, only from the perspective of I would no longer need a passport or anything to cross the border, and then you could just drive straight to Alaska. I think it would open it up much more to travel and tourism, but who knows? But where will the money be coming from to buy Greenland? Oh, Oliver, good point. Where is it going to be coming from? We're going to print it. We'll just print more. We'll probably make a whole bunch of promises, and maybe we'll give them government bonds, which get them yield. I don't know how exactly that's going to work. Or how much do you sell Greenland for? I mean, Greenland is not small. If you look at the state of Texas here, right? So here's Texas. Let's zoom into Texas. We all know Texas is absolutely massive. If anybody here has ever driven across country, by the time you begin going through Texas, you're already annoyed with it. And by the time you leave it, you just cannot believe this doesn't end, right? Does it end? I mean, it's so. I drove cross country from Los Angeles to Jacksonville, Florida one year, and it was a grueling drive. The rest of it's fine. I love going to Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. It was fun. But Texas, goodness gracious, when will it end? So look how big Texas is right there, and then I'll just kind of spin the world over to Greenland. It's way bigger than Texas. So there is plenty here, and you're right, VB. We don't know exactly what's underneath this. There could be something very valuable underneath that that ice, and maybe that's what he's going for. I don't know, and I don't think he's going for rare earth metals or anything like that, but I do believe that there could be some really cool stuff down there. Eddie says Trump didn't want to be bullied by, Trudeau didn't want to be bullied by Trump. That could be. He was probably just so annoyed with it. I mean, what a stressful job. You got everybody, even his citizens right now are just saying he's doing a terrible job. He's like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I see a partnership with Canada. Well, retired Jim, we have had a partnership with Canada, right? We've been very amicable neighbors. They're our neighbor to the north. So I don't see it being hostile. Over the years, I have many Canadian friends, and I always hear them go, God, what are you Americans doing? How stupid can you be? And it's like, well, you're not exactly doing the best either. So it's like the neighbor in the apartment next door. You get along, and you try to remain friends and don't do anything to upset that balance. And now all of a sudden, it looks like that balance could be upset. Let's see. What is he? Bitcoin will benefit? Absolutely. Bitcoin's going to benefit from any government printing of money, I believe. So why hasn't Puerto Rico become 51st? I don't know. That's a great question. Why? I don't know, Joe. I don't know. You look down here. They're territories. They're just a piece, but not exactly a state, which... Why not? Why not make it a state? Do they get special treatment? That I don't know. I didn't do that great in the poli-sci classes when we talked about governments and all that type of thing. Biden out here sending money back to Ukraine. Yeah, he's been doing that forever. Cadbury has great chocolate. No, I do love chocolate. Money for Greenland will come from Bitcoin. I don't know about that, Mike. I don't think it'll come from Bitcoin. If Trump makes it a strategic reserve, which we can talk about that later on. Well, we've talked about too much already. If Trump does make it a strategic reserve, then the price of Bitcoin is going to soar, and if the government holds a bunch, then yeah, they could have a bunch of money. I mean, as it stands right now, they've got billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin. So maybe they just pay it in Bitcoin. Would be interesting. Steve says ice is only 100 feet thick. Start digging. Oof. I'll just melt it. Right? We'll just put a giant heater right there in the center. We'll make a caldera. It'll be like an ice hole, and once we get to the bottom, we'll just find all those resources and pay for it. We'll find all the Bitcoin. Joe says a mile and a half deep. Well, I have no clue how deep it is, but I know it could be a very strategic place for military. Okay, what else you got? I thought MAGA was against spending, printing more money, more debt equals more inflation. Correct, Steve. It's tough to do a lot of the things. That Republicans historically want. They want to lower taxes. So typically, Republican Party is less taxes, less spending. Democrats are more taxes, more spending. And if you look historically, Democratic economies do better because more spending. However, the Republican side would say if you do less spending and you cut taxes, ideally, in my mind, you keep taxes where they're at and you do less spending, and that tries to fix our deficit, which you think we need to do first and foremost. If Trump decides to play hardball with these guys, he's going to have to print. He's going to have to print more money. Where is it going to come from? It's got to come from somewhere. So I think you'll see a deviation from traditional Republican values with regards to printing money under Trump. And we'll have to see. I mean, I don't know. These are all hypothetical. Let's see. Dollar getting stronger. Conversion rate will... So, good point. So we see that dollar rate getting stronger. Let's take a peek at that real quick, because that is going to be a major theme for 2025 is interest rates and the dollar. So here is the dollar index. This is the Dixie, which, as you guys know, my favorite mantra, the trend is your friend until the bend at the end. And at this point, it looks beautiful since last October. So this thing has just been rallying. Dollar getting stronger and stronger. And let's not forget, the new Secretary of the Treasury has been very pro-weak dollar. How do we weaken the dollar? Well, the economy gets weaker, or you start printing more dollars to push it down, as they did back here in 2025. In 2020, right? They printed a ton of it and got real weak for a short period of time, then all of a sudden shot up in value and got really strong from 2021 to 2023. Or 2022. As far as this goes, I'm looking at it as continuing to trend until it stops. So all in all, this is not great for economic growth, seeing that dollar continue to move to the upside. The other piece here that was interesting is the yield on the 10-year. We have the highest level we've seen since early or mid-2024. So, and it looks like it's getting stronger. Right now, ripping, moving up to the upside, moving up to the upside. I've got this 5% mark. Well, it's actually like 4.38, call it 4.4, is really that next area where I see significant resistance for that 10-year bond. But as we see other countries kind of struggle and our long-term rates rise, more people are going to be buying those long-term 10-years. So hopefully that will push prices down to the 10-year. But for right now, not looking great for our bond market, meaning higher and higher yields. So what this means is people are having to buy U.S. dollars, which drives the price of the dollar up. They buy bonds because they can get a higher yield. We are one of the highest yielding long-term stable governments in the world, paying 4.68% for a 10-year bond, and the 30-year is even higher than that. So Mike says, hey, 60-mile-an-hour winds up here in Glendora. Is that like Newport? It's crazy. Yeah, it's incredibly strong winds here today. I went outside just to help my neighbor. His garbage cans are flying around, and it's helping out a little bit. But all windows are closed, and I'm pretty locked down. But yes, we have it feels like hurricane force winds here. 10-year yield, Merlin, 5%. Soon. I mean, we're not that far away from it right now. If you look at that chart right there, let me pull that down. Why is this not working? For some reason, my computer just doesn't want to work. But anyway, I'll put a line right at 5%, just because that's such an easy number. Boom. And that top red line that you see there, which I guess I can now move this up there. There's the solid red line you see at the top is 5%. Big Eb, I'm leaving this on here. Hope your vacation was great in Hawaii, Big Eb. Let me know anytime you can be remotely close to Orange County, because I do owe you a beer. I'm going to leave this on here till I actually pay up on my debt. I don't like having looming debts like that. But you look at the trend, look where we're at. I think it's not only highly plausible, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get to 5%, particularly because this is such an attractive rate. You know, you lock in your money for 10 years at 4.68. A lot of companies, a lot of businesses, a lot of governments would like to do that. You know, if you look at Japan, you've got very, very low interest rates. So I could borrow money in Japan, I could buy 10-year U.S. bonds, and I could make positive yield for free for a while. You're still there on vacation and he's watching this show. You talk about dedication and support. Love it. Well, I hope you have fun. Is Waikiki Waikiki in Maui, or is that Oahu? I forget what Waikiki is. I think it's Oahu. I think it's Oahu. If you're there, I got a couple places I can recommend for you, which I really enjoyed when I was there. Don't things have to be for sale before you can buy them? You should read The Art of the Deal. That's a good one, Steve. Look, I think that with Trump's tough talk on this, I think it's all posturing. I think it's just to get the tensions flaring, right? It's like a reality show. I mentioned this last year we talked about Trump's potential. He is a master of shock and awe right before the commercial break, right? So you're stuck watching, you're engaged in it. And then when it comes back from commercial, it's like, oh, that problem is just real quickly resolved and glossed over. It was not a big deal before. His whole administration from 2016 to 2020, I feel was the same way. I feel it was really just shock and awe, and then as soon as you come back from commercial break, it's like, oh, it's not that bad. You guys might remember on Friday, Trump would say something like, he would tweet out, we're going to put huge tariffs on China of 30% on all steel imports. China's bad on Friday. And then on Monday, it'd be like, China is really working hard with us to be a partner. We look forward to working with them. No tariffs. Like, okay, come on. Make a bet here. So I love the shock and awe. Exactly. It's provocative. It's shock and awe. It's excitement. I mean, it's one of those things when you hear it, you're just like, what? Why you really? That's why I like. Not if you're Russia. Yeah. True. Russia just goes in and take it. And maybe we're just taking a playbook or a page out of Russia's playbook, right? Oh, you guys can just go and take the Ukraine? Well, we'll go take Greenland and Canada because military is just a little smaller. Anyway, all right, let's move on. So we got Trump obviously being a big volatile catalyst for the markets in 2025. We have markets that are just robust right now. Obviously, today we saw a big sell-off, so I can talk about CES, but the bond yields are one that's concerning me. The higher those go, the more those choke out the economy. And let's be honest, right now at 4.68% for a 10-year, that's not like astronomically high. I'll go and show you the longer-term rates here on a monthly, and there you go. This is nothing that's like, oh my goodness, this is really high, but being around 5% is something that, other than that peak we saw in 2024, it goes all the way back to 2007, which conveniently was a market crash. I don't know. I'm just saying. And then maybe, you get to these highs up here on 10, 11%, but I don't think we'll get there. I think we'll probably get to 5 or 6%, and then we'll get a lot of pressure to push those bond yields down, and that'll probably be done by weakening that U.S. dollar. All right. So, bond yields, I mentioned, was an issue for me. We have, obviously, Trump, and then I think it goes back to companies and the companies themselves. Like, what are we seeing? The presentation today by Jensen Huang, I don't know if anybody saw it, the keynote or opening thing at CES, the Computer Electronics Show in Las Vegas. It was great. I mean, NVIDIA really showcased some very cool things. They even showed an AI unit that you could put. I mean, it's a little bit bigger than this little box I have here. It's like a little device you would keep, and pretty much it's like your own little supercomputer AI agent that would cost you $3,000, but sits on your desk and allows you to have basically a supercomputer. So that is a good thing for NVIDIA. They talked about cars, they talked about robotics, they talked about all sorts of things, and it looked really positive for NVIDIA, which is why I was kind of surprised to see what happened on NVIDIA today. Maybe they just didn't say what everyone wanted them to say, NVDA. Maybe they didn't present what needed to be presented. By the way, this is the monthly chart of NVIDIA. Just absolutely stunning. All right, let's go back to the daily time frame here so we can look a little bit more specifically what happened today. We have this little bear trap where it broke down below this head and shoulders pattern here on December 17th, and since then just been ripping ever since. So I'll do what I should have done a couple days ago, remove all drawings. Today, it looked like just an absolutely catastrophic day, down 6.22%, but that still doesn't even erase the last 2 days worth of gain. So been no big deal. And Daniel says, why the sell-off? And I think buy the dip is right, or buy the drip, which is buy the rumors, sell the news. And, I have some friends that work for NVIDIA, and they were telling me, watch out, man, he's going to have a huge presentation. The market's going to just absolutely go crazy. And I was anticipating going in the opposite direction. I don't own any NVIDIA at this moment in time. If anything, I'd be selling some puts here to collect some premium. But, yeah, I think this is just a buy the rumors, sell the news thing. It's just really one of those times where if you find that NVIDIA is to a cheap enough level or you'd like to own it long term, I would say go for it. Because their products, their services, what they have are bar none the best in the industry, and they'll probably continue to keep moving up. Yield got that 5% high. It would be hard for equities to keep up this upside momentum. And again, I agree with that, Steve. That was my point, is the higher that 10-year, the higher that long-term bonds or bond yields, period, whether those are short-term or long-term, the higher those go, the more it impacts the economy. From a simple analogy perspective, just look at it like putting your brakes, just tapping your brakes. Every time it goes up, it's tapping those brakes just a little harder. And it doesn't mean we're going to come to a screeching halt, but it will start to slow things down, which is why economic data in 2025 is going to be very important to keep your eye on, because you may start to see signs in, might be manufacturing, it could be in home sales. Of course, the higher these interest rates get, like this 10-year here, the higher this bad boy gets, the more expensive our mortgages are going to get. And mortgage rates have been ticking up. So, yeah, this certainly could have a big impact on our markets going forward. Daniel says the presentation was awkward. Yeah, I don't think it was awkward. I like you, Jensen. What's awkward is his leather alligator skin jacket that he always wears. I guess it's nice because it's his signature. He always has this leather jacket on. But yeah, I didn't think it was that awkward. It's hard when you get out on stage and the entire world is watching. That's a tough one. I was asked when I gave this class over the weekend. I had the least attended class out of all the classes this company was offering. So it was funny. I had 6 people in the room, which was very small. But hey, I enjoyed it. I hope they had a great class and learned a lot along the way. And the lady's like, "Are you okay with that? What's the most you've ever taught?" And I'm like, "I've had over 1,000 people in the room, and that's nerve-wracking. That is real nerve-wracking, having 1,000 people in the room." But he had over 1,000 people in his room and, like I say, millions watching because NVIDIA is setting the tone for the entire tech sector. If we look at our Magnificent 7 stocks today, it was not a pretty showing. NVIDIA is down 6.22%. There's your NVIDIA. You had Tesla down 5%, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys caught this one, but Tesla got a little kick in the gut today by Bank of America. Oh, downgrading Tesla. Okay, well, hold on a second. Wait, someone downgraded Tesla? This is kind of humorous. Let me get all my lines off here. I told you I like to start the year fresh. And we will put a horizontal line at the price of $400. All right, it's not there, but I'm just going to, there you go, $400. So today, Bank of America downgraded Tesla and said, oh, well, we're downloading it from a buy to neutral or hold. I forget which one it was, but either way. And what they downgraded Tesla's share rating. However, their forecast increased to 490, which should make everybody kind of just go, what? Hold on a second. This is why I hate analysts. I mean, today, Tesla closed at 394 and change. And Bank of America says, we're downgrading your stock, which our forecast was 400. We're downgrading it, but we're raising our price forecast to 490. Riddle me, I mean, how do you justify such a silly downgrade? If it's currently trading at 394, shouldn't that be an upgrade to a 490 price target? That's why I don't follow Bank of America. BofA has a price target of 190 on NVIDIA. Well, on Tesla, there's this 490. So, which is so stupid. You downgrade something that's already at your target, and then you raise your price forecast to 490. It's like they're setting themselves up to be correct. So now that the target's 490, if Tesla doesn't get there, they could say, see, we told you, we downgraded it. What? Hold on a second. What is Tesla's most important metric? I don't know. I don't know what their most important metric is. It is probably one of the more interesting business models out there. As Tom, who doesn't come to the show anymore, but Tom Barr used to always say, it's a car company. It's going to drop its PE value to match with Chevy, General Motors, or Toyota, Ford, whatever. And there's many of you here in the room who are against this and say, I'm one of those people who's going, no, I don't think you're going to see it get down to the same PE ratio as Ford because it's a completely different company. It's a car company. It's an electric company. It's a battery company. It's many different facets. It's an AI company, robotics. So there's way more to it. So I don't see this as being a car company. What's their most important metric? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. There's a lot of different variables that they're, I think, hanging their hat on. To me, it's about forecasting what AI is. I think that their metric right now is expectations of future growth, and that's going to be your AI. That's going to be driverless taxis, robo-taxi, etc. All right, so we got the Tesla downgrade out of the way. We got the NVIDIA presentation out of the way. I'm just looking at my materials here, and bond yield. So I got all the main talking points I wanted to get to. So let's go back to our focus for 20. Yeah, and solar, right? Is Tesla unionized? I remember hearing something about they were trying to unionize, and I think that got squashed. But I would imagine that the unions are trying to get in there. Absolutely. Well, it's going to be Tesla and Toyota as far as cars with the merger coming. Well, certainly they are a car company, but there's so much more. So much more. Left for him 7. Thank you. Nope. It says they're not unionized. Not. I wasn't sure. I knew that they were trying to. I heard the talk of them trying to, but I didn't know if there was actual outcome. So let's talk about our 2025 forecast. If we look at that S&P 500, and I'm going to do it off the index, the SPX here, because I think that's obviously the broad market, and that's what I'm using. As of today, you have a little bit of a head start. We were down 1.11% today on the S&P, but that is the horizontal red line, which started 2025. Right? That's the last trading day of December of last year. So from there, if you said it's going to be positive for the year, you have a slight advantage at this point. Now, if I zoom out here and go big picture, and let me do it on a monthly just because it's easy. I will remove all my lines because I want to start clean. Okay. And let's go monthly so we can take a peek at the big picture. Because I want to look off the left-hand side here just for those who might be new and say we have nothing, absolutely zero, that we could go on as far as overhead supply in the past. So for those of you who are supply and demand people, nope, you got nothing to look at here. So let's go back to put our first official line on the chart here, which is going to be on that daily, and that's going to be this December close right here, which is 58.81. Santa Claus rally dumped. If you listen to Jeffrey Hirsch, so if you don't follow Jeffrey Hirsch on YouTube or Twitter, you probably should. He is the son of Yale Hirsch. Yale Hirsch is the guy that created Stock Traders Almanac, which is the best. If you're a statistics person, a numbers person, a patterns person, seasonality person, you like to trade, whether it's commodities or stocks, check out Traders Almanac. I don't receive any compensation or free stuff from them, so I'm not trying to pump something I don't believe in. Those that use it know it is really cool to read through all these facts and statistics. Yeah, we missed our Santa Claus rally. It was a dismal showing. Santa was a little sad this year, but there is a January barometer as well, and that's a pretty important one. So we missed on the Santa Claus rally. Let's see what happens with the month of January. If you have a chance, I would encourage you to read the latest newsletter, which is the Trading Academy newsletter. I wrote the main article on that one, which is, 1 second, let's see if I can bring it up here for you. It's all about as goes January, so goes the rest of the year. And give me 2 seconds here so I can find it. I don't do enough branding of myself here, so let me just show you this one. There's Lucy. I sent it out in a Teams chat, so copy link and then make sure this is the right one. All right, so here is the link to the publication. I will put that in a chat for everybody here. So if you want, that is the latest Trading Academy newsletter. And you can see my lead article there is, so as goes January, so goes the rest of the year. Market mantra or myth. Love it. So that was my article there. I also have an article in here from Larry talking about 10 financial resolutions for the new year. And we also have 20 new must-know bond and investing terms that you should know. Of course, this is quite a bit. We end the year at 6109, a lost year. That's your forecast for this year? All right. You're jumping the gun. Let's get him in there. All right. So if we look at this chart over here, the sad part is we have no real expectation as far as where this market is going to end up. Because if you believe what the industry and markets are telling you, believe what the industry and markets are telling you, they're saying that the markets are going to continue this uptrend. And for all intents and purposes, I believe that should happen, right? That should happen for the remainder of the year. The trend is fine. Trump's coming in. We've got a Senate and a House. They're probably going to pass things through very quickly. We know Trump is extremely aggressive. And, fingers crossed, he does what's best for America, not for himself, but actually does some really good things for the economy. We shall see. Time will tell. So where do you guys think this market's going to be at the end of 2025? You can put your forecasts in. I will put them all in this spreadsheet over here. It won't be done now, but there's a lot of people who are no longer watching the show, I think. I haven't seen them anymore. Thank you, Dave. I'll put that in the list, but now's your chance to come up what you think the forecast is. And if you want to talk about why, I'm happy with that too. Like I say, I will scroll through this at the end. Yeah, don't tell me percentages. Just tell me here's what I think it's going to be. And then we'll go from there because I don't want to do it. I'm not going to calculate out percentages for you. But, let's see, 10% higher. My forecast is we're talking roughly, I think we're going to be lower for the year. I'm ruining it for you. I think we're going to be lower, but I don't think it's going to be much. I think we'll be slightly lower for the year. If you look at this, I think we're going to actually see us make some all-time highs here first. I think we'll probably get to that in January, February, March. And then I think you'll see things start to drift a little bit lower. And I do think that we're going to end the year slightly lower. Not much. I think we'll be slightly down. I'm going to put my number in here. Well, I guess I'll just wait. I'll wait to do it. My last year's target was a 7% gain, but I don't think that's going to happen this year. I'll hold off on telling you mine, but I got 66.50. All right, so you think it's going to be much, much higher. That would be a 13% gain for the year if we did 66.50. 6,200, 58. I see some 58s in there. Yeah, I'm down below 58. Oh, Bakir, you got a good number there. 56.78. I'm kind of in that camp. I think it's going to be down a little bit more than that. Lisa's 8,000? Wow. Hold on, Lisa. You got to put your name on the list there, but 8,000. If you had 8,000 for the S&P, you're talking a 36% gain. Remember, we've had 2 huge years in a row. 2 huge years in a row. I just don't see us having a third one, even though we've got a complete regime change. I don't know. Here's my other thought. But I know nobody wants to hear this. This is bad, obviously. But it seems to me a black swan event happens, it seems like every 4 or 5 years. Out of blue. Typically, it's a health issue, right? We had COVID in 2020. Here we are, 5 years down the road from COVID, and I feel like another health scare is going to come up. Is that the avian bird flu I see going around again? Maybe. But I feel like we're coming into a black swan event. Now, I've mentioned my opinions about Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy and what's going on there. By the way, I'm still long MicroStrategy. Right now, I have the 322.50 puts sold. I'm short the 322.50 puts, and I've sold the 370 calls. So I've covered my position there, and I have some SMCI as well. Just those are current positions I have open, and I sold some more puts on SMCI at 340. It's expiring this Friday and next Friday. So yeah, I think a black swan is potentially coming. Yeah, that Black Swan book is pretty dense, but I do think that there's something big coming. I don't know what it is. It could be caused politically. It could be some knee-jerk reaction type of thing, but it just seems like it's been too long since we've had one of those events where everybody just freaks out about. And I like when we have Black Swan events. The market sell-off from COVID gave me one of the biggest winning trades I've had in like a 2-month window of time. It was just such a huge gainer in a short window of time because I had a guest on my program was talking about. We actually did a show called How Do You Prepare for a Black Swan Event in January of 2020. And he was on, he goes, you just buy deep out of the money puts. And that'll protect you from a Black Swan event. So I remember I had gone out on some dating sites. I remember it was in Tinder or whatever. And I had gone on a couple dates. And this one girl wouldn't go on a date because she was freaked out because of something called COVID. And this was like in January, February of 2020. And she's like, I can't get N9 masks. My family's in trouble. I'm like, what are you talking about? There's no, I don't know. And so that just fizzled out. We never talked to each other again. But it made me start to listen to the news about COVID because I never heard of it. And all of a sudden started gaining popularity. And I just bought a whole bunch of deep out of the money puts on SPY. And luckily for me, that was a gigantic gainer. As that thing went into lock limit, just free fall. It's very rare that you see the S&P in lock limit down. All right, lock limit down, for those who don't know, is where the market falls so much in a day that the exchanges literally say you cannot trade past this point. It locks limit down. They will reopen them after a certain pause, a certain time. Yeah, I was on Tinder. Yeah, I know. I swiped right. Didn't work for me at all. Was not working. But you see these down days here are just massively large, really starting in February. I mean, this one right here, you had a down day of 9.82%. When you're holding like 50 put options on the S&P and it drops 10% in a day, everybody here that trades options understands how much that premium changed. It was crazy. What you... Now you guys are all giving me a hard time for my Tinder dating. Hey, we got to do what we got to do. I saw a stat that said something like 80% of people meet online now. So there you go. Let's see on my phone. So whatever 11% down is. All right, we'll do 11% down. Luck in disguise. Sure, Oliver. I was lucky. But, it goes back to something I learned early on. It goes back to something I learned really early on, which is when you start to hear things on the street from the average person about a company, a stock, an industry, or something, listen. I'll give you a good example. Yeah, it was a lot. I had quite a bit. So my story is about a friend named Fernando, and this is on the old trading floor. And Fernando had a kid who's probably, 7, 8 years old. And he walked in the building one day, and he was like, man, my kid is just going nuts over this Pokemon stuff. Totally going crazy over it. And so we were kind of sitting around as a group talking about it. And he goes, I'm just going to buy this company that makes Pokemon. And so he bought Pokemon's corporate stock, the company that made him, and held it. and it became a huge win for him. And it was just because it's like if every kid asked to have this specific clothing or this set of shoes or something, then maybe you want to buy that company. In this case, it was just planning for a big market sell-off because of health scare, and luckily, totally luckily, I nailed it. That's right, church. I guess that is a good place. It's a very good place. When will the NBA stop play, get short? Yeah, when the NBA stop play. Let's talk about market closures. 1 second. So that's going to be not tomorrow. I saw someone say that tomorrow the market's closed. That's not. That's going to be Thursday. The markets will be closed. I'll still do a show. But yeah, Jimmy Carter is markets going to remain closed for Jimmy Carter, a National Day of Mourning. So that's Thursday, not tomorrow. Someone said tomorrow early on. I want to make sure. All right, Eric C. Good. I'm glad you put that because I see a number next to yours. We'll get you on that list. So yeah, so I'm of the mindset that we're probably going to see like a 7 to 8% slide next year, and again, most of that coming in the tail end. So if we look at the S&P, here's your SPX. Come on, let me zoom in here so we can get our current market. Boom. So if you look at where we're at right now, again, I do think we'll make some higher highs. I think the market will look really good first part of the year. I think Q1, Q2 is probably going to be relatively positive. I think once we get into middle of Q3 is when things start to sell off. And I think at the end of the year, you'll be looking at a market that's down about 7.5%, which would put us right at about 5,400. So I'll put myself on this list now just so we can have it. I'll do two different things here. I'll add on last year's and I'll add in a new year as well to our spreadsheet here. And where did my number go? Where's Merlin on this list? I thought I was up at the 7% mark, but apparently not. Let me see. I'm not sure where my number went. Oh, there I am. I'm in small caps. So I think we're looking for next year, at the end of the year, 54.41. That's my number there. And again, I think that would be that'll be your target for the year. We shall see. We shall see. Wait, you got 54.41 too? No way. No, I don't want a number that nobody else has picked. That's why I didn't want to say my number, because I'm afraid that you guys, I don't want anyone to have my number. It's got to be another one. So good. I love we got all kinds of positive numbers. I see we got some negative numbers out there. Does anybody here really care? No. You're going to trade whatever this market gives you, and I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be a great year. I'm looking forward to it. You look at what happened out there today. It may present a nice buying opportunity for some of you. For example, we'll go through our hierarchy here. We had Bitcoin just absolutely get crushed today, but I love Bar Chart's commentary. Bar Chart says, Bitcoin getting crushed at levels it hasn't seen since 2 days ago. Yeah, no big deal. All right, I'm going to take all my lines off of these charts, every single one of them, so I have nothing to go off of here. I like having fresh charts to start the year, so I will do that for everybody here. This one's going to stay right there. Russell, oh yeah, I got a bunch of lines there. Let me run through all of these real quick and give you kind of our market update, what we had happen today. Your worst was, of course, BTC. Bitcoin got crushed today, down 6.17%, but I'm not overly concerned about it. I think it's just a little profit taking, no big deal. NASDAQ, of course, this is beaten up by the techs. And as of yesterday's trading, it looked good, right? It feels like we're in a very small channel downtrend. So if I could put lines across the top here, you guys can see it looks like we're kind of stuck in this small little channel. Maybe not stuck, but we're in a channel right now if we connect those lows. So we'll see if this channel kind of stays in place. If it does, that's not going to be good news for, obviously, tech going forward. But right now, slight downtrend, at least for the past couple of weeks on the NASDAQ, and that was down 1.77%. And again, every member of the Magnificent Seven was down. Joe says, any predictions for Bitcoin? Oh, man. I think that Bitcoin's going to end the year at right around 180, 190. I think we're going to peak out at somewhere over right around 250 or higher. I think over 250 middle of this year. But yeah, I guess we could do a dual forecast. Let's see. What is just a 5,000. Yeah, no big deal. 5,500 is no big deal for Bitcoin. I guess we could do two different forecasts here if you wanted to. It's just more logistically to keep track of for me, but I guess I could do that. If you want to put a forecast for Bitcoin, we can do that one as well. Of course, I just gave you mine, but Let's also do Bitcoin for fun by the end of the year, and I'll update that spreadsheet and have two different columns on there for Bitcoin and for the S&P. So if you want to do the Bitcoin price chart, let's just bring that one up. And I'm not going to use the futures. I'm using the spot price of Bitcoin, which is this chart right here, BTC. So I'll be doing off of this chart here. And as of the beginning of the year, we go. Remember, this is a tough one because it has to go all the way through to the end of the year. There is where we close. Make sure that's a green candle. That's a green candle. Move it up there. All right, so your starting point for Bitcoin is 93,759 is where we started January 1st when we rolled over. Okay, so you guys, if you want, put in your forecast for Bitcoin for the end of the year, and I will add it. We'll do a secondary wager, and what I'll do is I'll give probably till, because I know I have a lot of people that aren't here. Some people watch the recordings. If you are watching the recording, feel free to put your comment down below the YouTube video, or you can email me at tradermerlin@gmail.com to get your name on the list for S&P and Bitcoin by the end of the year. I'm using SPX, and I'm using the spot price of Bitcoin. And I will give us a week or so before I finalize this, probably the middle of January, because I'm going to try to bring some guests on. I'm going to try to bring some other guests on the program to talk about where they think the market's going to be, thoughts on 2025, et cetera, going forward. And so hopefully we can get to some of that. Okay. I wasn't quite finished with my top 8 here. I do want to finish up before we do a 1-hour show, but your S&P was struggling as well. This looks very similar to the NASDAQ. We're making lower lows and lower highs. Not good. Russell, similar picture. We had a little double top back here in November. All of a sudden making lower lows. This is not a great picture now. Dollar index showing strength. That could be putting pressure on these markets to the downside. Because of some fear, gold getting a little attention today, but still price-wise, it's doing nothing. It's chopping sideways here, so I don't really feel comfortable gold long or short. It's just sideways. Crude oil. We mentioned that breakout point. We've had 2 breakouts. It's now broken up at the second point, which is that 72.88 mark. You're probably going to see Bitcoin rally up, or sorry, Bitcoin, crude oil rally up to these most recent highs, which is roughly 75.55 is that next logical point for crude oil to hit. And I'll updo all these charts with all these lines later on. And finally, we had that 10-year. This, to me, is the story for 2025 will be what happens with the 10-year. The dollar and the 10-year are your probably 2 most important market metrics. Don't worry about S&P. It's going to do what it does. But the dollar and the bond market are going to steer this market in 2025. There we go. I think I made it out of here before a 1-hour show. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your patience. We will have a show every day this week, even though markets are closed on Thursday. Thursday. Today's Tuesday. Thursday. Even though it's closed, I'll still do a show then. Monday, I'm going to be up in Woodland Hills recording a whole bunch of videos and shooting. We're doing a whole bunch of photography for all the marketing materials for Training Academy. So I will be in Woodland Hills all day on the 13th, so no show there. But glad to be back. Thank you guys for your participation. I'll get this spreadsheet all put up tonight and get everybody's numbers in there. I'll show you them tomorrow as well. And if you want to get your friends involved with it, do so. I would appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic remainder of your day. If you got numbers you want to put in after, email me, tradermerlin@gmail.com, or down below YouTube. I'll see you tomorrow.